So we're gonna overclock the motor facility by one level already, and I literally nearly just fell off this like 2 seconds after I said that. Holy. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on Satisfactory with me, Spacefish, and welcome back to the very top of our Megafactory. We are currently very nicely admiring the beautiful landscape out here in Satisfactory as the sun is, I don't know, setting, rising, one of the two, and well, just kind of thinking about what we are going to do today. For a start, we did, in the last episode, get all this stuff here set up, where you can see we've got some rotors coming in, we've got some status coming in, and we're finally making our first few motors, which are going to be essential in quite a few things, including the research of oil processing, which you can see in the upper right-hand corner is going to take us 50 of those, and well, that's kind of the big next milestone that we will have to go for, because of course oil is going to thrust us further along in quite a few ways, and hopefully that is going to be the technology of the future for us that we will go with very, very soon. But with that said, if you enjoy the episode, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, as well as that like button. That does always help out a ton with the video performance. Now, let's go further downwards for a start, because while we are currently making those status, we are doing so at a rather slow rate. Now, I mean, we do have a good bunch of backlog here, because while we are producing a few automated wiring thingies out here, we don't really quite have the cable flow to fully sustain that. But you can also see that we are requiring 40 wires a minute for this state of production, which down here we have quite the bottleneck in said production. If we have a look over here, you can see that we are making copper wires right here at a frequency of 75 a minute, which, you know, you would think for a start that's totally fine, but that does then get split out here, and we do end up with like 37.5-ish, so we're not quite fulfilling that frequency that we would need for the status, and I'm also quite confident that through overclocking we could actually push out quite a few more status would we have the wires required. But we do also need the wires, of course, for the cables over here, which we are then using for the automated wiring. So I think the first order of the day is going to be to figure out if we can actually amp up our wire production down here to be able to supply more wires to both production lines simultaneously. And then we've also got quite the surplus of water in this pipe circuit down there currently, as we have rather recently actually expanded on that, and we do through that have quite the potential of actually increasing our power output through constructing a few coal power generators. So that is also on the list, hopefully using that to our advantage. For a start though, you can see we've got the copper ore coming in all the way out here from all the way up there, and that is actually being a bit of a problematic thing, because I think we had the idea of leaving this space open just in case we needed to extend some of these lines out to here to bring them up to different levels. So the only bit of space we're really working with is about this right here, which means that the only thing we can really do is moving the smelter up a tad bit. And my idea would then be to hopefully be able to somehow squish the copper wire production in somewhere else. I think I do have an idea, to be honest. Somewhat. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to very quickly and rudely interrupt this whole process for a start. We've got the Mark II conveyor belts out here, we've got the smelter right here, and I really hope that there was no, like, power shards or something in there that I may have ended up deleting. I think we didn't have that overclocked just yet, because, well, the copper wire production really doesn't need that much in terms of actual input. So what we are going to go and do then is we're going to go right out here. We're going to go and rebuild that part of the production just a tad bit further up, basically, and maybe we will have to slightly reroute some of those conveyors, seeing as though we are encroaching the clearance here a bit. We're going to try and keep that somewhat close to the wall without blocking construction right there, so that's working beautifully. And then we'll just take that part of the equation out, And we're going to connect that right from up there, basically. That way that can continue to flow into there. We can repower that thing. And then these conveyor belts will have to go. And excuse the lag out here. I really don't know quite the reason why this game is lagging. But I think that it just really doesn't like the workings of this insane Megafactory with goods flowing all around and 15 jillion layers of machines just working away. I think we're sort of slightly getting to the limits right there. But what we're going to do then is we're going to go and pick up all these power shards, which, by the way, we still have 2 green power slugs in here technically, so we can hopefully use that to overclock things a bit more once we need to. Now we're going to tear most of this here down, not that container ideally. We do want to very much keep that. And what we will then do, I feel, is actually put the... Oh, come on. Thank you. We're going to put the assembler for the wires about here, which is going to probably be a bit of a squeeze. Maybe we're even going to have to move a few things slightly. Not the assembler, the constructor, of course, excuse me. So, looking at this, it seems as though this cable... Yeah, okay. So, what are you all connected to? You're connected to that. That's a bit of an issue, but we're going to surely be able to fix that. We're going to go and grab a new power line. We're going to place that here instead, and we're going to go and connect that back up, because we do need that to be connected for those productions, and this power line has to be connected again as well. So, a new attempt. This will, of course, unfortunately, actually not be off-center at all, which is beautiful. I thought it was going to be, but that does not seem to be the case. In terms of the placement, nope, that's the wrong one. Never quite sure about the perspective here when placing these things, if they do fall onto the ground a bit further, or if that's kind of the ultimate placement. That's why sometimes I'm slightly mistaken out there, but that said, that is going to be one of the new constructors, and that's basically going to be the feeder then for the construction of the stators up top. Now here we will have to remove that for the time being, so we're going to have to route that conveyor belt a bit further around the outside, I think. Now, what we will do out here then is we will go and make sure to have a conveyor splitter. We will place that right there, and we'll go and get a Mark II conveyor belt, feed that into there. We'll get this thing out to here, slightly just tilt that inwards. Nope, that is apparently not allowed. But the idea is to kind of just route this off to the side a bit, if that makes sense. Oopsies. That was not the idea. I accidentally turned that the wrong way around. But yeah, so the idea being that we do somewhat route this around the corner like that, so we have got that a bit more around the outside then, and then to route that into here. No, actually that's totally wrong. That is absolutely 100% wrong. We're gonna have to think about this a bit, I think. The issue being, if we can get rid of this part, and we can get rid of that part, we can get rid of that part. So what we're currently, of course, working with is just the copper ingots, right? Which, by the way, we could already schedule. The copper ingots we will have to put into the constructor, which, that said, this thing right here, of course, already needs the wires, not the copper ingots. So I guess this one is going to feed that constructor. Whoopsie, didn't want to take that. But then I have to have a constructor out here that makes more wires, and I'll have to transport them around somehow to get them into that constructor. So that's going to be a bit weird in the end, I suppose. But I'm sure we're going to manage somehow. So that thing goes into there for the time being. That at least gets this running again. Well, that is whenever we get this powered again, which is now. And when we have set up a recipe, which is that one. So we had a requirement of like 40 wires a minute up there, so I suppose we're just going to overclock this one level for the time being, but I think we're going to get back to that in a minute and actually more use another power shard or two to actually cover the overclocking potential that we need to kind of push the stators out a bit faster, because we do want to make that happen ideally. Now, with that out of the way, as I said, we do need another constructor, which I guess we could place over here, but this one now is going to have to be off center, because for a start, I would very much like to avoid actually blocking any walls from being constructed out here, and if I place this in the middle, we will be blocked. And, well, also we just need to kind of work with the small amounts of space that we have available, and quite frankly, that's pretty much the only way I can see that happening. So, we're going to go and connect this side of the splitter then with this, or not if we have placed the constructor the wrong way around, which is always quite a bit of an issue, and still having lag on here unfortunately, but let's go and try that again. So that's the way around we actually want to have things. Then we can go to logistics, get the Mark II conveyor belt routed into there. That's going to be the new constructor. For the extra set of wires, we're going to have to bring those conveyor belts around here. I think I already have found the solution to our issues, to be honest. It isn't really the craziest one in the world. This thing could be in the way. I really hope it isn't, but we'll find out in a minute, I'm sure. So what we will do is we will, first things first, start building some walls out here that we were very much missing previously anyways. And then we will go and make some perpendicular wall conveyors. One out here, one right there. And then if we bring a lift down right there, that should be fine, I hope. Let me... No, actually, we need to set up the conveyor first. So we go here, route that to there, or not, because the power pole is actually in the way, and that is quite the terrible news. Absolutely just like that. Why is it connected twice? Oh no, that's a different one, okay. So we're gonna have to dismantle that wall and see which power pole we've got this connected to. Okay. Now what are you all connected to? Holy Jesus, that can't be all these connections, can it? I think it's these three, so one. Oh, then we've got to connect it to the constructor, and then we've got... Okay. So we're gonna pull that down, we're gonna have to redo all of that. First things first, got to grab that power line down there. We will then pull this out to like here, I suppose. Glitching through the wall, very ugly and all, but at least it works, I suppose. And then we're going to have to... Ooh, didn't know things could just float in Satisfactory like that. Would have really expected that to crumble, but that's good to know. Then we'll just fix that, basically. We'll put another wall out here just to kind of make things complete, I suppose. And then we will finally set up the conveyor belts properly. So that was a bit of an issue, but that's all solved. And now the main question is going to be, can we actually get the lift down here? Nothing encroaching the clearance out there with that thing being in the middle, so that is beautiful. We are going to redo that lift though, because we do actually want to have the out right there, I think. And that should be enough to bring the conveyor through. So pulling that around right here, then we're going to pull that all the way out here, get it all the way around nicely and beautifully, and then we're going to go and feed that into there to eventually hopefully make some cables. Awesome. So got to get a recipe set up, of course. The wires right there. We do have that power pole right here which we can connect things to. Gonna pull that out of the way, please. No, go away. Oh my god. The selection sometimes doesn't really do quite what I wanted to. But anyways, we're going to go and just start out by getting the conveyor lift placed out here. Get the conveyor belt out of there. Pull that around like that. And there we go. Beautiful. So that should be a lot more of a wire production capacity, I hope. Do have a good bunch of backlog out there. I will have to see how many copper ingots we're actually making a minute here, and if we do need to boost this. I think we do. That's 30, right? We've got 15 here without overclocks, which we're going to apply overclocks probably. Yeah. I mean, we need like 60 wires on that thing there alone, so we're going to actually need quite a bit of capacity increase. If we want to fully utilize this, which I don't think we actually do, to be honest. Actually, I think we can spare us the overclocks out here, because while we could make the automated wirings at a faster pace, there's currently not really any use for us in them. You know, we needed them for the last space elevator phase, but we do not need them for the next one, and I do currently not have any sort of machinery that I would require them for. So in my book, currently, if they're producing as slow as they are, absolutely 100% totally fine for me. So we're going to concentrate on this part out here, and we did apparently not connect this back to power, which is most certainly a grave mistake, so let's go and fix that and actually get the wires flowing again. Nonetheless, though, we will have to speed this up a tad bit. We should at least be getting 60 copper ore a minute, so that should not be an issue for the copper ore supply, I think. And then these wires and everything else will be made to the according speed. So that's beautiful. That means a bit more capacity down there for us. Now let's go all the way up to here, which is where we do use those wires in the very end to make the stators. Now this 40 per minute capacity requirement has most certainly been met, which means that we have got those 5 stators a minute most certainly. Not actually quite sure about the pipes, I have to say. We are making 20 a minute. We're requiring 15, so we could get a bit of an overclock in here. We've got 5 stators a minute, out of which I think we are getting half the cables out here, so we should be using like 1.25 stators a minute there, which means that we should have an excess of 3.75 stators a minute for our motor production. So let's go and check in there. We really need a wall here, like literally if I fall off this, I'm certainly dead. Like, this is not good, guys. Oh boy. But yeah, so safety requirements being ignored aside, this is where we make the motors. So we could use 10. We could use 10 stators a minute, easy. Yeah. So we're gonna overclock the motor facility by 1 level already, and I literally nearly just fell off this like 2 seconds after I said that. Holy. Should we go and consider some safety improvements around here? I think we really should. We're gonna at least make a few walls out here where, you know, I risk falling off the stairs, because especially when you go up and down stairs in this Megafactory, have I found, you very much risk absolutely yeeting yourself off, just because that's when the game likes to lag the most. So that being fixed then, let's go here. We're gonna go and overclock this by 1 level, as I previously said. That should mean, what does that mean in terms of steel pipe requirement? We should still be, yeah, nearly there. Then, I mean, ideally we would overclock with 1 more shard, which we cannot even take with the wires we make per minute. Like, we need more power shards, I think, unfortunately. Even with this, we need 60 wires per minute, which we don't have, so I'm gonna have to spend any, like, power slugs I still have downstairs, and then I will need to push the steel pipe thing, which, I mean, surely we could make more, the question being kind of how much excess steel ingots I do have. I've got absolutely no clue where I'm getting these from. Maybe let's quickly do something like this and have a quick peek around the corner here. So these are coming from 2 levels below this, yeah? We're gonna have a look, check that out real quick and see how much we're making there, or if we do even have an excess down there. But yeah, so I think the 2 power shards that we have we'll spend on this, and then the rest, like, we'll just need to find more power slugs eventually. So that is unfortunately the sad truth right there. So this here is where we do get the steel ingots from them. And we're making 45 a minute, which is splitting, so we're making 22.5 a minute, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, as much as that fulfills some of those requirements, which, by the way, making very little steel beams too, which I'm sure is not fulfilling 100% our requirements, then again, I think, oh yeah, we're merging that, are we? Are we? Yeah, we're merging this with the other... What in the... Buddy, you're still down there. You're gonna be kidding me. He's like been chilling there for like the last 10 episodes or something. But yeah, so we're merging that. That's why that capacity, I suppose, is fine for us in that sense. But Out here we would need more, which means probably also more iron and coal. Yeah, I don't know. That's not happening anytime soon. So we're going to take care of actually getting the copper wires running then that we need. I think we can still achieve that with the amount of stuff we have. And then we're going to leave it running at that for the time being. I think that's totally fine in terms of optimization of this all. Now what we do need here real quick is going to be... what is there? Just a random craft bench, I suppose. We're going to just quickly place that up here randomly to make 2 power shards. And then we're going to tear that down again. Very nice to just have a portable crafting bench with you like that, I suppose. Then we go over here. Yes, indeed, we're going to go and place 1 power shard on that, which will boost our copper ingot requirement to 30 a minute, which we are actually making 45. Yeah, right, the split. Forgetting about the split there, so we're going to have to boost that one. Will we actually? How much are we using in the other one? 50. Oh no, we don't. Okay. We're perfectly supplying enough for this overclock, which does mean that we do in the end have 1 excess power shard then, so we can use that on something more sensible, but that's that. We've got some more of these things flowing in, and that way should also hopefully have some more motors rolling off the assembly lines, which is absolutely beautiful. Now, let me go down this absolute maze of stairs, and I'm gonna go and head over to our base in hopes of actually exploring a bit of an expansion on our power grid today before we head off to the next episode, so I'll see you after the cut. Alright, so over here we are then with our coal power production. Now first things first, looking at this, 42% actually at this point. That's rather decent, I would say. I mean, it's still taking us quite the while to charge, but it's certainly a very good feeling to see that we have got that much of a buffer built already, just in the worst case if everything starts to explode. Now, the thing over here being that I think what we also need to somewhat expand on before we can actually put some of these new coal power plants to action is we will have to upgrade our coal drill all the way over there, and we will have to upgrade all of this to level 3 conveyors, which shouldn't be the hardest task in the world, because I think we've got a very, very nice backlog of steel beams that we can utilize for that. And, I mean, you know, an upgraded miner isn't really the craziest deal in the world either, so I'm very confident that that should be totally fine. What I do quickly want to do, though, is very much I would like to cut down this, which is a bit of an issue, because, of course, there's foundations in the way. But there we go, we're going to get rid of this thing, and we're probably going to already just build another coal power plant or 2. I think theoretically through upgrading the coal stuff we could probably get like double the amount of coal power plants we've currently got going, but in terms of water supply I feel like the limitation should be another 2 fully overclocked ones, so that's probably what we are going to be heading for. Also, I would very much appreciate a way to still get up here after placing more coal power plants, which is actually quite the good question of how we're going to do that. We're going to keep this on the same level, basically. So we're going to have to, one way or another, make a good bunch more space. Should be enough space to actually get the coal power plants attached to coal and water, given that these pipes are kind of like you can just build the conveyor belts through them, so that should be fine. I do need more space though for the 6th one, basically, not the 3rd one, of course. So we're going to go and expand this out a bit further. And just make this all nicely plastered up with concrete foundations. Cool. So, we're going to go into here, we're going to get coal generators going. I kind of wish I had a tower that I could stand on top of right now, like a proper building tower, but I suppose that the water buffer, the fluid buffer thingies will have to do. I'm gonna just go up here and hopefully that is going to be fine in terms of actual placement of this stuff. We're missing rotors. Marvelous. Absolutely beautiful. Do I at least... I've got a bunch of steel beams. So what we're going to do instead today, instead of actually placing the coal power generators, is we're going to go and upgrade a bunch of these conveyor belts, and that way, you know, prepare for actually upgrading the entire system for coal harvesting and delivery to our power plant. So, you know, bit of a change of plans, but I feel that's totally fine. And at least we've already got the platforms laid out then for the coal power plants themselves, so that should be nice and beautiful as well. In fact, I'm thinking I may already potentially have enough steel beams in my inventory to just upgrade all of this in one go. So that would be very nice. Gonna be the question of I actually have the stuff in my inventory to upgrade the miner up there to level 3, but we'll see that eventually, and if not, I'm gonna go and get that stuff going in between episodes. What I do have to say I really like about the Mark III conveyor belts is the upgraded lights. I think that looks so much cooler, especially at night. That must look absolutely insane, the light spans that you have around these things. So I do really fancy these, and as you can see, we're very nicely actually getting all this going. I've got so much more in terms of steel beams than is actually required to get this stuff upgraded, which is beautiful news, I would say. And also beautiful news for our steel beam production, because honestly, I think we've got so many steel beams at this point, we could literally make most of our entire production off of level 3 conveyors. So, I would say that's quite nice. But yeah, getting all this upgraded then, you can already see down there with all the gaps in the belt that, well, I mean, quite frankly, we are not producing the coal or mining the coal fast enough just yet. But that will change rather soon. That is the entire thing upgraded with Mark III conveyor belts. Absolutely beautiful. Now we do have this thing out here. Actually, this is just a Mark I miner, isn't it? It is indeed. So, should maybe even be... No, not quite. We're missing one portable miner. That is, unfortunate. Well, we can actually make one. So, that is nice and easy, I suppose. We're going to go and make that. We're going to go and get the Mark II miner going, plonk that down like that, and that should very nicely fill the entire capacity of this Mark III conveyor belt, and very nicely also pre-provision for our future power production. But with that said then, I think that's it for today's episode. I'll end it off right here, so I hope you all very much enjoyed it. Next episode, we're actually going to get those power plants rolling, get more power capacity onto the grid, and then look at further expansions and maybe some research to do and some new things to take care of. But for today, this has been it. If you enjoyed the episode, definitely make sure to hit that like button down below. That does always help out the channel a ton. And if you're new around the channel and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon in order to stay up to date on all the future upcoming episodes. But with all that out of the way then, as usual everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll catch you in the next one very, very soon. Ciao.